around the nipple to the under bust. If you have any excess, you just stretch it and pin it together, and while sewing as well, you stretch that area so it lies nicely. You should have something like this after stitching with your 1/2 inch. Now what I'm going to do is to start notching from the under bust and also notch the curved area. That's where the breast will sit. Okay, I've pressed this part straight, and the curved area I'll use my homemade bust ham. I'll trim off the frame part that I have and flip the front bodice back right sides facing and stitch that side with 1/4 inch. Right before I stitch the sides, I'll move on to insert my caps. I'll insert them on the main piece, right? And what I'll do is to find the center of the cap by folding it like this. You can either notch both ends or you mark both ends. So by locating my under bust right after the straight seam, the beginning has a notch, right? So that is my under bust. I'll place the notch together with the under bust, and I'll align the rest with the seam line just as you see. And while I'm aligning, I'll pull the excess so I don't have any puff around the bust. Okay, at this point I can see my joining allowance, so I'll trim off the excess, but while trimming, the beginning of the under bust will remain the same and the end of the bustier, right, will also remain the same. This will help me to tack that point to the cap. Okay, I don't want the allowance to be small at that point. And while stretching, wherever the cap ends, I'll just pin it together, and that is it. If you have any excess of the cap on top, just trim it off so it aligns with the neckline. Okay, I'll move on to tack the cap to the allowance, the joining allowance of the under bust. I'll begin with the under bust. Okay, so I'm just going to tack it to the allowance, hence why I did not trim up to the under bust. Okay, so I'll have enough allowance to tack to the cap. I'm actually going to tack each of the allowance to the cap. So this is one side of the allowance. I'll flip to the other side, still on the under bust, and tack it down. But before I tack the second part, that's the other side of the under bust, I'll have to remove the pin. Okay, so to tack, I will sign in through the cap and get to the allowance and tack the allowance to the cap once again multiple times. And when I'm done with this, I'll just sign out. I'll move on to repeat same to the top part of the cap. Same thing, just tacking the cap together with the allowance. Okay,